very pleasant good afternoon and welcome to APNU AFC live this afternoon. It is the afternoon rush and I am Randolph Critchlow. Welcome to those persons joining us all around the world in the diaspora, in the Caribbean, right here in Guyana. We want to say thank you very much for joining the live and welcome to the place where you get the credible and valid information live and direct. Thank you very much. We are seeing those persons who are joining the live stream right now. Let us tell you that we are very, very happy to have you. Daniel's blessings from Long Island. Thank you very much for joining us. We want to say thank you to all of those. Welcome to the live stream this afternoon rush with yours truly, Randolph Critchlow. It has been 377 days since the March 2nd regional and general elections, and this country still does not have credible results from those elections. It's been 224 days since this fraudulent administration was installed based on those fraudulent numbers from the recount. And I say that specifically for you to understand something. And I want to start on this note today before as we let persons come in and join the live stream and share and let your friends and family know that we are about to share some credible and valid information. I want to speak on that particular point. 224 days since this fraudulent administration was installed based on fraudulent numbers gleaned from the recount. There is a prevailing narrative being pushed out there by the PPP somehow that they are in office based on legitimate numbers from the elections. The fact is, and note that these are the facts, that the PPP are in office based not on the March 2nd result, but based on a recount where a myriad, a whole host, a mountain of irregularities, not just one, but many mountains of irregularities were discovered. We don't need to dig very deep to understand what happened and what was uncovered during the recount. One might remember when the GCOM commissioners started uncovering these irregularities, that they said, you know what, these votes that can't be verified, they will be set aside. The very next day we saw the GCOM chair say that they will be added. So, in the words of Amanza Walton Desir, the PPP is yet to prove to anybody that they are not sitting in power based on fraudulent numbers. So this narrative being pushed about assault on democracy and all manner of foolishness, it was the PPP who stole the democracy from the people by being installed based on numbers that cannot be verified, fraudulent numbers. Hence, we have insisted, and they will continue to be known as the fraudulent administration because they are in there on fraudulent numbers. We don't need to look far. We do not need to look far. We just need to look at those 47 boxes on the East Coast with no statutory document. No statutory document at all. No votes can be verified. None of them could have been verified. None, not one single vote from those 47 boxes could be verified. So to run away with an idea that somehow they fought for democracy and are sitting in their bastions of democracy and whatever, and how somehow the APNU AFC assaulted democracy, when it is that they are sitting in the seat of power on numbers that cannot be verified. That is what they cannot refute. There is no argument that you can put up that will say, yes, we are in power validly. They are sitting in the seat of power. They were installed based on numbers that we cannot verify and should not have been counted. The chief elections officer said that he cannot deem those results credible because the mechanism, let us not forget, because I see people jumping on NCN and Newsroom and all these places and DPI talking about assault on democracy. Let us not forget. Let us not forget that it was the PPP who insisted that they should be installed on numbers that can't be verified. There was a basket of issues according to the recount officials. The mechanism by which GCOM is to verify the votes and the ballots, they were missing. This is not something we're making up. This was an opportunity granted to this country to do an audit of the ballots before a declaration was made. And the audit of the ballot showed that there was massive irregularities and massive inconsistencies. So there was no way for you to verify whether or not the votes were valid or not. And that will be the legacy of this fraudulent administration sitting in the seat of power based on those fraudulent numbers on the recount. Let it be known, let it be heard, let it be told in the circles where the people seem to not understand what is happening. Let it be told that the PPP are not in there on results from March 2nd. And this is why when I hear people talk about SOPs and where the SOPs are irrelevant. They were overtaken by statements of recount. And the recount showed that there were massive irregularities. So that's where we are. The PPP, of course, sitting in power based on those irregularities. So guys, as I bid you good afternoon, I hope that that bit of information is taken and people repeat the fact. That bit of information is very vital. This is why we have 2 petitions in the court. Because there is no way that you can assume power after you would have uncovered all of those, I would call them atrocities that happened on March 2nd. There is absolutely no way that you can assume power given all of that. So this afternoon, as I bid all of those persons a very warm welcome and a good afternoon, Wednesday the 17th of March 2021, 224 days since this fraudulent administration was installed based on those fraudulent numbers. We say good afternoon to all of you. Pleasant good evening, Liverpool. We want to thank you for joining. Right. Miss Lane, thank you very much for joining. Yes, I like to repeat the fact. Right. James, welcome. Those persons watching from New Jersey, we want to say thank you very much for joining. Share the live stream. We're going to have an interesting conversation this afternoon. We are going to be joined in a bit by the Deputy Vice Chair, the Vice Chair of Region number 7, is Kamala Prasad, and she is going to be telling us a bit about what is happening there in Region number 7. Of course, it was her video, it was her live stream that brought you that protest by the CDC members from Region number 7 after they had their elections. And a key point to note that the CDC is not supposed to be a political group. It's a community development group. It is not supposed to be a political group. It is a group that is supposed to advance the cause of the community, to help development in the community, as explained by Mr. Vincent Alexander. So for the PPP to go behind the backs of the CDC members and have their own election to install their own people is quite a travesty and an attack on local democracy as it is. Folks, a lot of things are happening and we are going to be discussing this afternoon. I'm hoping we can have Ms. Kamala Prasad to join us this afternoon in that discussion about what is happening there in region number 7. And of course, we also want to be joined by a representative of region number 9. We're going to the far-flung regions this afternoon. We are going to be joined by MP Vincent Henry, that represents region number 9, and he is going to be telling us about what happened there over the last few weeks. I do remember Mr. Henry from the budget debates. He was extremely fiery, and it was one of my favorite debates during that budget presentation. Mr. Vincent Henry, who represents the indigenous peoples of region number 9. And he gave a very impassioned and fervent speech about why it is that they do not want to be deemed as called Amerindians. And they took it as an insult that the name of the ministry was changed back to the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs instead of what it was, the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs. So we're going to be talking with him. Hopefully the internet holds up. We're having some connection problem right now with Ms. Prasad from region number 7. And this, of course, speaks to the bigger problem of internet connection around the country. We're hoping that is sorted out very quickly. Before we go into any other thing, folks, we have a video to share. Earlier today, the leader of the opposition had a meeting with the Canadian High Commissioner, Mr. Mark Berman, at the office of the leader of the opposition. He was accompanied, of course, the leader of the opposition was accompanied by the leader of the AFC, Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan, along with MP Amanza Walton Desir, who is responsible for foreign affairs and international cooperation, and MP Geeta Chandan Edmonds, who is responsible for public security. And they spoke on a number of issues with the High Commissioner, of course, reaffirming Guyana's relationship with Canada. We know we had a somewhat of a tumultuous few years with the former ambassador, who is now serving time. I say it like that, serving as the ambassador to Barbados. But we had that meeting today at the leader of the opposition's office. Let's just listen in on what Mr. Hammond and Mr. Ramjatan had to say. See if we can pull this up again. Hopefully we can get that playing for you. Hey. Right. Let's work on that as we try to get that video for you folks. You know, I read some comments online about the meeting with the Canadian High Commissioner. Persons are still a bit wary, if I should use that word, about the role that Canada played in the installation of this fraudulent administration. I recall the letter that was sent from the office of the leader of the opposition to the outgoing ambassador, when he said that, you know, Guyana has a long and rich relationship, diplomatic relations with Canada, and you know he bid her farewell, and you know he looks forward to dealing or working with her successor. But you know it is quite an interesting dynamic that has played out, and again people are still wary about the role that the ABC countries played in the installation of this administration on those fraudulent numbers. And folks, I will continue to repeat this. I will continue to repeat the fact that, you know what, this fraudulent administration that parades around as if they were legitimately as if they legitimately won at the polls. You and I know that that is not so. You and I know that that is not so. And it is that they have assumed they will be installed in power, and they have started on this vendetta, and it says to the Guyanese who are feeling the pressure that they really don't care about you, that they really do not care about anybody. We're trying to get this video going, of course. See if we can get it played. Leader of the opposition speaking on that meeting at the office of the Leader of the Opposition with Mr. Mark Berman, who of course is the new Canadian High Commissioner.
It is important that the High Commission understands the way we see things and understand the way our supporters feel. We made it very clear that the PPP had a one-seat majority in the National Assembly. And this has been a situation that has existed in the 11th Parliament and in the 10th Parliament, where there was always a one-seat difference between the parties. So for almost 15 years, if you were to put it that way, you've always had a one-seat difference. And so any regime, any administration that recognizes that they have a one-seat difference cannot behave as if they had 100%. And it emphasizes the need for consultation and for dialogue if the country is to move forward. This meeting with the Canadian High Commission follows meetings I have had here with the British High Commissioner, the new British High Commissioner, and the Deputy to the Ambassador of the United States of America. So that this pattern of consultations is very important, so that our views are understood in the capitals of the countries where these ambassadors and high commissioners that they represent. We spoke, of course, at the need for a new voters list before any elections, and we felt that the house-to-house way of producing a voters list is, in our view, the best way for doing so. We spoke about several other issues with respect to constitutional change and how we go about changing the constitution.
Right. Seems to be having some technical difficulties there with the video. But as the Leader of the Opposition was saying there, they spoke about a number of issues with the High Commissioner. Constitutional change. Mr. Ramjitan spoke about a number of issues also. He highlighted the wanton dismissal of public servants from the public service. And it is interesting to see, and I hope that these meetings continue. Again, there is much work to be done as it is in terms of repairing the image of these countries and these high commission and these offices that played an integral role, such an intravenous role in the installation of the PPP after March 2nd. And I hope, of course, that those works can be done to repair those images. Folks, we are continuing to follow what is happening. Today, of course, we had massive protests around the country. And I want to bring you some of those. Of course, if you were joining us earlier, you saw images of the protest action that took place. First off, early in the morning, the MPs, along with some APNU AFC supporters, they protested the headquarters, CID headquarters there in Camp Road, and of course they were calling for the injustice, right? The injustice to stop the police seems to be carrying out the PPP vendetta. They're holding persons past 72 hours for no reason. These are not flight risks, these are persons, upstanding members of society, and they're treating them like common criminals after as they investigate these charges brought against them by the government. We saw Mr. Trevor Ben today also, who was recalled again to CID to answer some questions, and he spoke after he came out. And it's quite interesting, folks, that Mr. Trevor Ben is being charged for monies that are in the government coffers. And I want you to understand what I'm saying here. Mr. Trevor Ben is being charged for monies that are in the government's coffers. Right? In the government's coffers, the government has possession of the money that you're charging Mr. Trevor Ben for. He then went on to say that, you know what, after he was read that one charge, he went to the magistrate court where they read a different charge to him. A totally different charge. And then another charge about some land on Mandela Avenue. And the man challenged him. He said, look, if you believe that I did something, show me the proof. The monies that you are talking about, it is with the Lands and Surveying Commission. So it is quite strange, folks. And I want to bring you a piece of what he said out there. Because when he came out, he came and he spoke to the media. And I want to bring that to you now. Let me see if I can get that. Quite interesting. Let me see. Right, we're going to go to that video now, see if we get some audio.
Supported me during the year right? Struggles. I received calls from as far as South Africa, Dubai, United Kingdom, the United States, and all across the Caribbean. I've been receiving calls of support, and the many thousands of Guyanese at home here who have been supporting me, who've been calling me, and who've been reaching out in one way or the other. I want to say especially shut down. What is happening here is a creeping dictatorship in Guyana. This is total harassment. I have done nothing wrong. I want to maintain that. I was brought here last Wednesday. The police visited my home, requested my presence at the station. I facilitated that request on Wednesday, and I was immediately detained. I spent almost 72 hours in the lockup with common criminals of every kind. My first cell was one filled with feces running over and water all over the floor. So this was intended to inflict maximum pain on me. But I'm a Ben. And these things don't break us. The next thing I want to say is that I came on one charge on Tuesday. They read one allegation to me of receiving monies by false pretense. The money they refer to is a $27 million, which was paid in. No, that you cannot corrupt me. I'm incorruptible, and every cent during my stay lands and surveys that was for the lands and surveys was received by the lands and surveys. So I cannot understand why I am being held for misconduct. Misconduct in public office for receiving money on behalf of the state. Secondly, having read an allegation of receiving money by false pretense to me, I was taken to the court, shackled both my hands and foot like a common criminal, taken up to a chute into the magistrate court.
folks.
which they're claiming at the time I had no right to sell, to lease.
Right.
And the second,
So we're having some difficulties there with our internet today. We apologize for that, folks, and we are trying to fix it. But it seems as if we're um, only when the show is ready to come on, we're having these internet problems. We need to probably sort that out for future shows. But there we had Trevor Ben describing what is, seemingly a bizarre situation where he is being charged for doing the business of lands and survey. And not pocketing the money, not taking the money and putting in the pocket or giving the friends and family. Money's going in the coffers of the government, going to the Lands and Survey Commission. He is being charged for that. So, folks, we're watching this here. We're supposed to have two guests coming in, but I believe that the prevailing internet issues are going to cause us to cut the show short today. But we are going to be taking all of what we needed to talk about on today's show. So the 8 o'clock show, we are going to be joining you live at 8. I'm going to be on in the ring with Sher Duncan tonight. So we are going to take our leave now and sort out our technical issues, and we hope that we see you at 8 o'clock as we go live again and bring you credible and valid information. Thank you very much for the little time that you shared with us this afternoon, and we'll sort this out and be back with you at 8 o'clock. I do hope that you do enjoy the rest of your evening. We don't want to burden you with the problems we have in terms of the technical issues here. We're going to sort that out and be back with you at 8 for more unpacking of more issues played out in our country today. Of course, you had the nurses who were protesting in Linden today also. So we had simultaneous protests in Region 10, we had protests in Region 6, we had protests in Region 4. As I say, it seems as if the people are waking up, the people are mobilizing, the people are starting to say that enough is enough, and we will of course continue to let you know all that is happening as the people wake up. My name is Randolph Critchlow. Let's continue working for national development. Remember, see you at 8 o'clock in the ring with Sher Duncan as we continue the conversation here at APNU AFC TV. Do enjoy the rest of your evening and stay safe.